welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachel Ann
and Neal Young. So we're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachel Ann and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the podcast. Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that?
Hey, guys, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast. We got Rachel today. Say hey, Rach.
Hey.
What up?
Hey. What's up, Neal? How are you?
Nothing. I'm feeling amped up. I'm feeling excited today. We've got a guest today, which is really fun, and we'll introduce her in a second here. But the main kind of thing that we're going for this time is we were chatting about this, Rachel and I, that like, you know, we all try to like guess, like, what do you think we could come up with for a new thing that our agents might love that we can sell them on or whatever, or what do they need? What don't they need? Where are we succeeding? And a lot of times in podcasts and videos I've seen on real estate photographers, there's a big absence of asking your customer, which I thought is kind of, I'm like, why doesn't anybody talk to the agents and just say, hey, you know, what do you love and what isn't going great and what can we improve on? And so that's why we decided to bring Ashley Rioux on the podcast today. Ashley's awesome, and she is a fabulous real estate agent, and we want her to say hi. So Ash, now I will call her Ash. We've been friends for a long time. Why don't you just... Yeah, right. Why don't you give a little brief intro about you and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Rioux from the Rioux group at Remax Synergy. I have been an agent. God, I don't even know anymore. That's bad. I think I'm going on like 9-10 years. And, you know, been through a few different agencies, a few different photographers. So here to chat with you today.
Awesome. And Ashley, I really appreciate you working us into your schedule here. Ashley's also a mother, and she's got her kids hopefully maybe going to bed soon in the next room.
Fingers crossed.
So they could barge in at any moment. And
correct.
You know, she's like, yeah, she's just running with it. She's got her going off her phone because we had some technical difficulties with the computer. So, but as usual, you look great, and I'm really excited to chat with you about this stuff. Maybe you can tell us. Let's hear from you. Do you remember? And can you tell us a little bit about the big company that you used and where they succeeded and where maybe they fell short a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I think that they succeeded in like their expectations. It was very black and white on their website of like when you would get your photos back and that sort of thing. And they were all very much the same. So there was nothing that was unique about them. And, you know, when you're capturing different photos for different houses, every house is different. They just went in and shot every room the same, every single angle the same. So that was, I mean, it's okay. They didn't look bad, but you know, when you're really trying to feature something specific in a house, it was a little bit of a letdown there.
And that was probably because they were a really big, and we're not really mentioning names here, just we don't want to knock anybody, but they've changed their names since, is what I found out recently, but they were a very big company. And I think, you know, they had it down like a specific way to do things, because I think they probably had a lot of turnover for photographers. And so they had to have a very straightforward process of do this, and that. And that was just it. But, you know, what she's trying to get to here is I think there might have been a little bit of a lack of creativity and artistries, right?
Exactly. So like, you know, when like we go to a shoot and if there's something really unique about the property, like you're like, oh, I'll get that. Or like even in your videos, you know, like if it's a really fancy faucet or something. I remember, I don't know if you do that listing I had in Mount Vernon. It had really different modern bathrooms. And you like, in your video, you took the footage of like the water running and like the crazy shower with like, I don't even know how many like
Oh, all the
like
different
our
like
faucet heads were
faucets.
going
Yeah.
at every time, and it was like, oh my god, like just that kind of thing. The other company like wouldn't have done. They'd just sort of taken like the still shot and moved on to the next room type of a thing. Whereas like you kind of you see the creativity and you react to it, and that's essentially what the buyers on Zillow and Realtor.com they're looking at that. It
Mhm.
separates them from other houses.
I think a
Mhm.
lot of that too, that's a big struggle for a lot of real estate photographers that grow and get this bigger company is now you have to somehow replicate yourself and your creativity of how you would shoot the house to other people. And not
Right.
everyone has that creative eye and that understanding. So that's just something that I struggle with is teaching my team to just go in and get those basic shots that we require and then
Yeah.
add a couple of those creative shots if necessary. So yeah, that's definitely something they missed the mark on for sure.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that is that like a lot of real estate photographers just go and take the images of okay, like show the whole size of the room and this that and the other thing, and it's like that's not what buyers are looking for when they purchase a house. They're purchasing a feeling, and
Mhm.
so to be able to go into a house and like capture and feel that is what sells.
So talk a little bit about are there some things that do you like being able to have someone shoot on the weekend? Is that important? Is it not? Is it helpful to have somebody who can do multiple services with one person so you don't have to book multiple persons? How do you feel about fees for if you have to cancel because the weather was terrible, or I don't know. I'm curious to hear your perspective on these things.
Yeah, that's a great question, because it happens a lot. So in terms of the cancellation, that happens a lot, Neil, as you know, and it's literally as real estate agents, like we plan, clients on board, get the house clean by X date. Yep, we're good, and then that call comes in. Typically, the day before, we can't make it. This happened, that happened. We're not ready,
Mhm.
and so for an agent, no fault of our own, as much as we prep the client, it's just I would say it happens, God, more than, I mean, a lot. Like I would say probably like 30-40% of the time they're
Mhm.
not ready. Something happened and we postpone. And so to put that penalty on the agent, in terms of the cancellation fee, it's like for me, I'm all set. There has to be some flexibility there. Um, because it's just a very common thing. And the other aspect of it is I'm trying to remember all the questions you
Sorry,
asked me.
weekends are those
Weekends, oh my gosh, yeah, weekends are a must. They definitely have to happen because a lot of the clients, most of the clients are 9 to 5 during the week, and so unless somebody's works from home, which is that's a challenge in itself too, because then we battle with they're working from home, they're on conference calls, you can't take a photo of this room, etc. So a lot of the shots we need, they're like, "Oh, can you do Saturday?" And that other company we've been talking about that I've worked with, and some others as well, that hasn't been the only one. Typically, don't do Saturdays or Sundays, or they'll open it up for like availability like once a month,
Mm.
um, and it's booked. It's always booked. So that's a bit of a challenge. And then, you say, oh, well, we can do after work. And that's fine sometimes. But of course, like in New England, you're not going to do a photo shoot at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's dark. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge is flexibility is a must because, as real estate agents, I don't think people realize like we work the craziest hours. Like there is no hours. So our hours are whatever the client's hours are. So
Mm.
we need a company that will kind of mold to that to some
Yeah.
degree.
Well, let me ask you this. So, from our perspective on the photography side, it's a tricky thing too, because especially someone like Rachel has a lot of people that work under her. If they've already got maybe the day set aside to go do that shoot, and then they lose a shoot, now they can't go, and now they're not getting any money because maybe they couldn't get booked in time. So obviously, there's a loss there from them. Um, and I think there's two sides of this too. There's an agent who didn't do their due diligence, right? And that stinks if you have an agent that does that kind of stuff a lot, and maybe they should have been doing something to
Yeah.
prevent that to be preventative. So what I guess and then there's the other one that's just nothing. It was out of their control. They called, they checked in with the client. The client said everything was ready to go. They're good for the shoot tomorrow or in 2 days or whatever it was. And then, they call you up the morning of or the night before and say, we can't do it.
Yeah.
That stinks. But what do you, I guess what I want to say out of that is maybe there's something that we can provide to our agents to limit how often that might happen. Maybe some guidelines on like maybe they should check in before, or what do you think? Is there anything that you do to kind of limit that happening to your, because obviously it's not good for you to happen either. You don't want to have to reschedule the photos. You've got that on your calendar too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like as living the life of a real estate agent, and I know like not everybody, but like kids and handling, balancing life, it's like not on their radar to be like, let me call in with so and so for every photo shoot I have and make sure they're prepped this and that. Should we in a perfect world? 100%.
Hmm.
I wonder if it might be beneficial if like we get the nudge from the photographer like 48 hours prior to like, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you. Reminder, did you check in with your client and make sure they did this, like I don't know, basic
Hmm.
checklist of like,
Oh, that's
declutter.
not a bad idea.
Hmm.
I
And
like
then,
that.
yeah, and then I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, good point. Like, and then in my mind, I'd be like, depending on the family or whatever, I'd be like, they're totally good. It was good when I went for the listing appointment, not worried. Or like, oh, that one might be questionable. Good point. Let me call and check in, because I know I would respond to that if I like saw that. And I'm not saying it's like the photographer's job to babysit, but I'm almost as a collaborative measure, like that might work for both of us. It's just like an extra kind of barrier, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. And I think it would have to be something we'd find a way to automate, obviously,
Well,
right?
I was just gonna say, so HD Photo Hub, Neal,
Hmm.
I send out an automated text message and email 24 hours before the shoot, just reminding them, like confirming you're
Hmm.
confirmed tomorrow for this time. And you can set that for 48 hours before, and you can customize the text. So in the text, you could say, confirming your shoot. Also, just want to make sure you check in with the homeowner. The house is going to be prepped and ready. Blinds are open, lights are on, cars are out of the driveway, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be a
And
good
just
opportunity.
a gentle, like if you did have so I don't currently have cancellation fees because it hasn't become a problem for me.
Mm,
So I'm not saying that I'm against it. If it became a problem, I can see how that would be your way to try and like have a
Right.
little bit of a push, like, hey, make sure. But so far, knock on wood, it just hasn't been. And it's worked out when somebody had to cancel that. Well, I needed a break that day, or somebody else needs something and I fit them in, so it hasn't been a problem. But if it were a problem, I think this would be one of the things I might implement. And I might have a little line that's just a friendly reminder to now's the time to check in, because if you cancel within 24 hours, there is a fee. Right. And,
Right. And I
and
love that, because like honestly, if I got that reminder, all I would do is flip it over to my transaction coordinator and she would send it to the client and they'd be like, oh crap, like we better get our ass in gear or we better call Ashley and say we need to reschedule so she's not charged.
right.
Like I think it's there. I don't think there's anything negative that could come from it, really.
Yeah, communication is key, right? Like the more you
Yeah.
communicate with your clients, the more they'll understand why it's so
yeah.
Mhm.
important. Can you explain kind of the process of getting a house ready to list, like how many vendors actually come through the house and kind of where we stand in line with all of that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And Rachel wants to ask that too. I want to say why we want to ask that too, because we wonder if we aren't sometimes in our own little bubble and we just think like it's the agent, they get the listing and then it's us. We show up and save the day and take the photos and that's it. It's all done. And like, we don't like, we're like, hold on.
yeah,
We want to make sure that we have like a realistic kind
yeah,
of perspective of what you actually go through. Cause I think it's important this to know too how important it is once we show up to do our job, that not only do we do a good job, but that we also bring the right attitude to it, because I think a lot has happened already at that point, and that's why we want to hear. So please.
yeah. So nothing surprises me in any house I go in. Every single house is different. Some I go in and they're sure ready the second I go on the listing appointment. And then there's others that I go in and they're like hoarder houses. So it depends. I mean, no joke. Like, I mean, I have literally, gone in and loaded dumpsters myself, or like decluttered stuff into basements, because I kind of built my career off of expired listings, and they were expired for a reason, because they didn't sell the first time. And so there's always a reason why. A lot of the reason was because no agent said like, hey, you have too much junk out, or you need to stage it, or whatever the case is. And so, you know, I mean, even to this day, I can't sit here and say like, oh, I have a crew that will come and pick this up for you. The crew is me. Like, I'm the crew. So it's like, do you want to sell the house? Do you want a paycheck or not? So, I mean, I can offer out vendors in terms of like painting or something like that, or landscaping, of course, like, that's not my forte, but like, when you have a client that is not capable or just isn't understanding, and you want to sell the house, then I'll be like, okay, all right, photos are at 4. I'm going to come over at like 10 this morning, which I've done before. And we're going to load these boxes. We're going to put them in your basement. I'm not kidding. Like, I've done the work. Like, I've done it. And the house is sell. It's like, I feel like a lot of agents miss the mark on that, because they don't do the thing, like you have to sometimes do the thing. So, well, that's not common. I've done it. And so most of the time though, it's just a simple, like, I'll get there, hopefully, if I'm not late right now. But if I get there on time or before, I am going through, trying my best to go through the rooms to make it easier for you, and then you get there and you may see something I missed, like a trash can or dog dish or something. But the reality is, like, to have it ready for you. Cause like,
Yeah, and you also, I want to mention too that Ashley has I don't know if you have a storage unit or what, but you do
yeah,
your own staging, right?
mhm, yeah,
Yes. So she doesn't outsource that, and your team right now, you and your sister
mhm,
do that same thing. You both do it the same way, where you will go
yeah,
in and have a consultation, whatever, decide what you need to stage. You'll bring in staging stuff, and you'll leave that staging stuff not just for the shoot too. You usually leave most of that for the
yeah.
um.
Until it's under contract. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it started off kind of like as light staging, where we said, we're not bringing in furniture. We will use the items you have, and then we'll bring in, plants and pictures and that type of thing. But it kind of, it expanded from there, because a lot of times people wouldn't have anything in the room. And then just over time, we accumulated furniture. And then, now we have a storage unit. And so, and it's a big storage unit, and it's full. And we have stuff out in houses right now. So there's definitely a need for it. And sometimes, you know, no disrespect to some clients, but they don't have a flair for decorating. And so, we have to kind of go in and change the room and move things around in order for us to sell. And
Yeah. Yeah, and Ashley, on that note too, Ashley's no joke. Ashley also does flips, and I've seen several of them. We've done some videos at some of the flips that we
yeah,
still never released those videos yet, but they're hilarious and awesome. But before and after stuff, and like the mouse house that was full of mice and dead
oh,
mice and stuff. Oh
Oh,
my gosh, and stuff. But
I
yeah,
will,
she knows a lot about the interior design, even how to remodel houses, and her husband. Her husband's a contractor too, so she has a lot of resources that maybe a lot of agents don't have. So like if something needs to be fixed, she's got a husband who can do it, and she can probably do it. So, what?
yeah.
Oh, sorry, you broke up. Say that again.
Oh no, it says if I can't do it myself, I know who can.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's fun. I like it.
That's awesome.
But
Good for you. Um, okay, so we've got staging that goes in. Like, how long on average, does it take for a house to be ready for photos usually?
um, on an average, like, are you talking like a days, or like? I mean, it's
When you
like,
get the client, let's say you first. Because you can't start with, because I mean, it's hard for you probably to put a timeline, because a lead
Yeah,
could have
well, it's
happened
so
2 years
different.
ago and nothing happens for the home until 2 years later. But I don't know, give us like kind of some
yeah.
ideas about timeline for getting lead, listing a house, all that kind of stuff.
So it's there's no rhyme or reason. It's completely different based on the house, based on the client. I mean, I've literally had calls where people are like, for whatever reason, we need to sell, we're going through a divorce, or we found another house, we have to move, whatever. Like, some houses are ready to go. I mean, like I literally got a call and he's like, I need photos done. And I'm like, well, how much time do you need? Do you have to declutter? And he's like, you can photograph in 10 minutes. It's ready. And Neil, that was the last like condo we did that you saw
Oh,
that was like, gorgeous. So
yeah.
like some people like live that way, right?
Yeah.
And then there's other people where I go to the house and they're like, yeah, we have to do a little work. And I'm like, I think you need 5 years. So it literally depends. And so at that moment, we kind of come up with a game plan of like what we're gonna, do first, like declutter. You need to get a painter in here. You got to replace the carpets. Like it can be a long time. Like there's times where I've waited before listing a house of the upwards of 6 months to a year, just depending.
Mm.
Um, but I would say on the average, I would go out to a house once for the listing appointment. They'll have me back before I meet with you, go over any last minute things, and then we're ready to book. So there usually is in a case where it's kind of questionable, where they have a lot of things, they will call me back or I'll go back before you go out.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to ask this question. Okay. And so I'm right out there on a limb with this question. We're going to ask, I'm going to get my big boy pants on and ask, all right, so where can we, I'll say we, so it's not just me, where, where can we improve? What are we missing the mark on as photographers? Or are there services you wish existed? Or are there things that you could use help with that could be new services that we might offer? Or, what, I don't know, if like if you could make up a wish list of what you needed for media related stuff for you to help you sell the house. And that could be not just the physical media, but the delivery of the media or how the shoot goes or anything. Do you have any kind of things that you wish were better? Or,
What can Neal do to improve?
what can I do to improve
I
to make your experience better?
Throw him under the bus. Here we go.
And what is Neal doing horribly wrong?
say two things, and like I don't think they're Neil issues per se. Operating error and like my my technology experience would be one is very minor. Like sometimes when I get the videos, like I struggle with like the format of getting them into the MLS or uploading
Mhm.
to Facebook. And God, going back a couple years now, I can't remember the link or what have you that the last company used, but I it never presented an issue for whatever reason. I can never like
Oh.
upload it. Like I have to like format and play with it. And again, like it's probably me 100%. Because the other one was kind of
Hmm.
like dummy proof. So like you need to Ashley proof it. So
No, but
that's
that's a super valid point because most agents I feel that I've dealt with are not super tech savvy people. It's just not really what their
not,
strong suit is. A lot of them are great personality people, just usually a slightly different brain kind of setup. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't know. But so
Well,
what is it? Tell me exactly. So when you get right now, because I have a new system, fairly new, I've been using that new system, HD Photo Hub is what it's
yeah.
called, but where all your stuff is housed together is probably helpful. But when you get the links, do you remember the process at all or not really right now?
Like right click save as type of girl. And so like or copy paste and like I expect it to be there. And if it's not, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe a demo video on your Instagram, Neal, of how
Yeah.
to download the videos and how to
Yeah.
add, because that's another thing too. Like to get the video onto Instagram, you have to get the video on your phone. And it's like, well, how do I get it off my computer onto my phone? So you
Yeah,
gotta
like
like put it in
where
Dropbox or in a Drive folder. It's confusing. It's terrible.
that's where I get lost. And I literally it's two things. Like I have zero patience and I don't have the time to play with it. Like, I mean, and Neil, like sometimes I'll like text you and I feel bad at like because like realtors start entering listings by the time they get back from showings at like 10 o'clock at night. And I'll be like, hey, uh, working? What am I doing wrong? And like I know it's me. Like, and I feel awful because they'll be like, oh, you just do this, this, and this. But like I like for the life of me, I'm just like, it's not working.
No. And that I've been there myself and no, I get it. And so I feel the pain of that. And coming from my background of being customer support, I always like to help, so that's never been a problem for me. But also
Well,
coming from a background of customer support, the thing, like Rachel said, the thing to do to prevent having those calls a lot is to do whatever you can up front to help them. So I should probably walk through that. What I would say is I should probably walk through your process because
yeah,
I never deal with MLS is the part that's tricky for me.
sure. Yeah.
I feel like when somebody says something about MLS, I'm like, because I've never seen it. I've never done the upload process
Yeah.
or looked at it directly. So that should
It's
be
very,
something that I,
yeah.
do a Zoom with you and we can look at it and I can
Yeah.
figure out a way to demo how the process and how you should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be great. And that's why I say that carefully because like I recognize like I know my skill set and like not great with technology. So other agents would like breeze through it and download it and they're good to go. But like for me, I do only with the video. The photos are a breeze. It's more like the video.
Yeah, because they
Is
have links and stuff and I
yeah,
get it. Yep.
goes.
Some
All I
people
get
see like embed code and they just panic and run out of the room, right?
Including me. Like,
Yeah.
um, the only other thing, which this is not something for you directly, but it would be really cool, is like again, like I feel super old because like I see all these new agents coming onto Instagram and social media, and they're like blowing me out of the water with like reels and stories and like super cool stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea how they did that. And I guess fairly, I haven't looked into like classes or something, but it would be really cool if there was like some sort of like easy class to take, like social media for dummies and reels and like because like everybody's watching them and like I just see these new agents coming out and I'm just like they're so cool and I'm like how did you do that and it would take me 8 hours to figure out how to do that and upload and I feel like they did it in like 10 seconds or
I
like a
love that.
tick like I just
Yep.
a lot
I
of
don't know.
them are pre-planned. They have a strategy behind it all, and they spend a full day recording and batch recording those videos, and then they'll schedule them into a Facebook scheduler. So, or they have someone that does that for them. So it isn't a 10 seconds to make these videos. They take a lot of time, but yeah, definitely like some kind of course to teach you how to use social media.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this.
but my
So
action
everybody's
course
first thought is probably like, well, you can just watch how-to videos on how to do it on Instagram or on YouTube. But do you feel like you'd want it to be a in-person kind of thing? Like, show me what button to click. Is it that kind of thing?
for me, yes, because that's how I learn. For me, or like for me and my transaction coordinator, like you've met Kelly, like she's the one that has done the reels for us and sent them out, and it's just like to have somebody have that cutting edge, like you know what's hot on social media and be like having me do that would be great. I again like it's hard because not like crying poor woe me, but as realtors, like we're always on the road and we're always with clients at showings. Like we don't have we can't work 24 hours a day because then we get home and then we're doing like last night. I mean, I was supposed to have like the whole night off and I was negotiating an offer till 10 o'clock at night where I had like 10 other things I had to do. And like that just happens a lot. And so it's like, oh, I was gonna sit down and do social media stuff tonight. Yeah, right. Like it just doesn't happen. So to be able to sub that out to a degree with somebody who can go learn the basics, you know, not even like create just like the basics to stay, you know, to
Correct.
stay, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Correct.
Well, I mean, I think this is a great idea too. We also talk a little bit about some of our slower seasons and things we can offer our clients. So, I mean, maybe some form of lessons, whether it is an online course or whether it is an in-person or whether it's an in-person with multiple people, that you can book a session with people and they get a little bit of one-on-one time, but you go over the basics and then help them out for a few minutes. Set up a sandbox account for Instagram that they can all make a post during the class, which would be an advertisement for your class. These agents doing their posts for the first time. Look, they did it. You can too.
Right.
There might be things that you could do in your off season to make some extra money, helping your realtors. And it's a big thing, right? Because this is a big fear that, what, pointing me, what?
You do it.
What?
Neal, you need to do it.
Oh,
Pointing
yeah.
at Neal because he needs to do this.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I
And
was
I'm totally going to do a class I'm going to do it with Ashley. So I guarantee we're going to talk about it after this and we're going to meet one-on-one and that'll be just like the first time I did photos with Ashley. I won't, I don't know what her pains, where her pains are, what's the difficult part for her, what would be the most helpful. Is this a one-time thing, or do you need help once a week, or what is it? And maybe we don't know until we try it the first time, and then we start to iron that out a little bit so that you then know maybe what might be also valuable to the other agents as well. So, but
Right.
yeah, Ash, you and I, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna help you out with it, and I'm gonna do exactly that. I have a sandbox account, and I'll come over. We'll play around. Let's get Kelly there. Let's get your sister
Yeah.
there, who's also an agent on her team, and we'll do that, and we'll see how helpful that is. And maybe we need to do it a couple times just so that you guys get it ingrained or whatever. And there's a lot you could do there. So yeah, we can chat about that. But I'm really glad to hear that. And that's a really big fear that a lot of agents have. They don't want to be left behind. This is a big new thing, especially if they've been doing real estate for a long time. This is a newer thing that this is like now what you have to do if you want to stay on top of it. So they don't want to get left behind. They want to do it. But again, I get it. When you're busy, it's just one more thing you have to learn, and it's not what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I mean, I don't even do my posts anymore. Like I have Kelly do them. So like I'll send her ideas and stuff at the beginning of the week. Like what kind of content do you want to put out? And I'll say it, but like it's post, right? Like we're still not doing the reels and like and I guess, to your point, that that takes time. And I guess I'm thinking like these people are just whipping these out and I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
No, it
So
does
one
take time.
thing, maybe if Neal offered like 3 different styles of reels on site, like as an add-on product, where you'd get 3 reels of the house that were different. So maybe one is just the exterior, maybe one's just the interior, maybe the last one's like the whole house. And they look like 3 different, completely different videos. But that could be a product that you would order, and then you could use those on social media while you're listing that home, like drip one a week or one every 4
Okay,
days.
that's great.
And then I
Yep.
think it's important to note too that there's different kinds of reels too. Like there's that kind that that I don't currently offer the reels, but I've been thinking about doing it for the home stuff. But
Mhm.
then there's also, I think, the agents that want to know how to do these reels themselves on their
Yes.
phone. They don't even understand what are the little tricks and how do I do that thing that I just saw somebody else do. And they might not realize that some of those things are easy and some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's both that. So it would be beneficial for you to get some real content from a listing of just the house, not yourself in person.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's marketing the agent basically. I mean, it could be the house depending, or it could be, whatever's trending. There's some really funny ones out there right now, like that's trending. So like I just think like the basic concepts of it. Like I did a reel the other day on accident. And like I was like, they're like, oh, you just shared a reel. I'm like, I did. And it was like my dogs. And I was like, that was a reel? Like that's what you're dealing with here, Neil. Like I just have to tell you
And you're not alone
that
though.
story. I know. But
I
I'm
only
just
dove into it
oh,
myself, really getting into it a little over a year ago, really trying to make sure I knew that and TikTok and stuff like that to
yeah.
just so I could help other people. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So like that for me, I would love to either if I don't learn it, have somebody who works for me learn it who can do it for me.
Yeah, so we can train you so you can do it on a fly when you're at some
Yep.
appointment in a gorgeous home and you can do a fun reel or something that you saw trending, and we can train Kelly so that she can get the content like from the listings and stuff like that, and she can make them reels and upload them and whatnot. Yeah.
So there's a real estate team here in Washington, and they have a huge presence on TikTok. They have a ton of followers. They make reels constantly. Like every time that they're at a listing, they'll come when I do photos, and they'll be there. They'll bust out like it's a team of 3 of them, and they'll bust out like 3 or 4 reels while I'm doing the photography. And it's just these, and they're running by yelling and laughing, and I'm like, what are these girls doing? But their channel, I mean, they get so many leads from TikTok just from these reels. And that
Mm.
is like they picked their one method of how to advertise their business, and they've stuck with it and been consistent. So I think you got to find what really works for you and what you enjoy. And social media is by far the best way to reach a huge audience. We all know this, right? But
Right.
it's like, what is attainable for you? What can you do? So like
Mhm.
for you, it sounds like you don't have time to make 4, 5 reels a week. But if
Yeah.
you could fill in with like you use a photo from a home You use a photo of your puppies on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you post the reel that Neal made of the walkthrough of the home. And then on Thursday, maybe you pop on and do a little talking head video, educational, or, you know, a tip on how to keep your house great in the winter. I don't know. And then
Yeah.
Friday, you do something like another picture of you drinking your coffee in the morning to show that you take personal care of yourself, you know? So having this well-rounded kind of plan that speaks up to all the different things that are important to you in your life. So maybe
Mhm.
every day of the week you have a different bucket that you check, you know, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming to make these reels. They can be easy. Neal can show you, and you can just make one a
Yeah.
week to start. And if it really, you like it and you think, oh, I could do more, then you can work up to more. But yeah, just taking that first step, I think getting your feet wet and learning the technology is the hardest
Right.
part. So
Yeah, and they don't have to be complicated. The reels don't have to be complicated. So, but anyway,
Sure.
so let's
Yeah.
talk. We had a couple other things we wanted to ask too, from about the photographer's perspective here. So I would love to hear. I don't know if you have any worst experiences with a photographer, something how they were on site, and maybe that falls into. We've always wondered, like, where's the line? Because a lot of times Rachel and I will speak up a little bit about things in a home and say, well, maybe we should move that dog dish, but I'll say it in a way. I'll ask you though, to make you the authority. What do you think? Should we move this dog bowl?
Yeah. Most of the time, they've all been very respectful. I did have one client um, who was a hoarder. I mean, we tried our best to get things out of there, and the photographer was still trying to like move everything out of the room, and she thought it was great. And I guess I guess the photographer should have kind of like read the room type of a thing, where it was very uncomfortable, and I was kind of like looking at him being like, no, just let it go. Like, this house is going to be photo, like, we've done our best, like this is what it is. And you that point where it's just like, no, 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 like that they're insulted, like, you know, like, you have, this is what we're working with at this point. And that does happen sometimes, because, you know, I have awesome clients who are like, do whatever you want, like tear the room apart, you're the boss, you know. And then I have others who are like, you think something's wrong with my house,
Mm.
you know. And so like, it's important that the photographer can kind of read the client as well in a situation like that. And I guess, like, going back to that client I'm speaking of, the photographer didn't, kept pushing, be like, we can't have all this in here. And the client, I just thought, was like, it was just escalating. And so, you know, I had to kind of diffuse that situation. But that would be the worst. I mean, that I can think of. Most of the time, you know, I've never had any issues other than that.
Here, let me ask you one more thing here. All right. So another question that I think might be helpful for anybody trying to expand their client base, which is for us agents. I know that it's a hard thing to kind of break into. You know, once you get a couple good agents, other agents see that, and
Mhm.
they're very competitive. So if you're doing nice work for Ashley, then, you know, Lisa sees that and thinks, oh, well, maybe I should work with him too. Or somebody new says, oh, and you start getting referral. But when you're first getting started, or maybe if you're just trying to break out of your normal circle and you're stuck expanding, you know, some people will call up brokerages, some people will show up in person, and, you know, there's some different tactics and stuff that I've heard. But I'm curious, from your perspective, what is best received from a photographer reaching out to you, and what is not? And what would you recommend for somebody, you know, trying to find agents to work with, to list, you know, do their photos or the videos and such?
Um, I mean, I get emails all the time from photographers, lenders, um, and it's an email, and that's typically what I get, and I delete it. So, I mean, if a new photographer is trying to start, I mean, excuse me, I feel like I need to see their work. I need to know, like, other agents. For us, it's really word of mouth, honestly. Um, I don't know if that's what you experienced when you had like started with me, but like, people are like, who do you use for a photographer? And like, the first question is like, who do you use? And the second question is, what do they cost?
Yeah.
That's what, because it's very competitive. Like, I know there's companies out there right now that charge a lot less than you, but like, I in the work, and like, it's obvious. So
Yeah.
Is that,
And
do you want me
do you
to?
ever say to those people, because I'm sure when you say the first question, who do you use? And you're like, I use Neal. NRI photo, he's amazing. Right. I'm sure it goes just like that. And then,
Exactly.
and then they go, oh yeah, those are nice. I saw your listing. They look great. What does he cost? And then you say what I cost. And then they go, so who else do you know? Do you ever, do you ever
Yeah,
go, well,
true.
hey, do you ever have a follow up with that or,
That does happen. It actually happened recently with an agent. And I think Courtney was with me, and we're like, "Oh, Neil's great, all this stuff." And then she was like, "Well, what does he cost?" And like we said, the price. She's like, "Oh my God, well, I get all that for like half the price or whatever."
yeah,
And we were just like, "Great," but like we love him and we love the work, and it's consistent. And so I feel like that's really the value there is like it's consistent. And if something's not right or if the client's not happy, which we have both experienced, with high-end clients more so, um, that are very particular, that like you won't leave me high and dry. You'll show up and you'll come back and you'll just reshoot and we'll get it until it's right and they're satisfied. And I think like that's the piece where you can demand that price and get it because of that, that reason, that customer service quality and making sure that the client's happy. Not just me, but like, it's kind of like a two-tier system. It's like I'm the client, but like I have another client on the other end. Um,
right.
so I feel like the confidence that I can put in you for that is worth the price. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that value is there where I almost said the name of this other company. But for $100 you get this and that. And it's like, well, great. When your $2 million clients, like, I hate them, will they come back, and I think that's kind of like, you get what you pay for type of a thing. So, which I firmly believe in. And I think it's about that. And I think it's about having a relationship. And, I can call you and be like, the client's really particular. They really want to focus on more creativity or this. And like, you get that and you do it. So you
Yeah.
don't get that everywhere.
I appreciate that. And yeah, and not everybody's going to be my client either. Some people
Sure.
that's their most important thing is the cheapest thing they can get. And so they're going to go with that. I don't fight for those clients because those are the
Right.
clients that we have terrible experience with.
Mhm.
Every time it'll go south with the person wants the cheapest price. It never goes well. So yeah.
And it's a reflection on me and my business, like, if I list, everyone's like, you do professional photography on like a $200,000 condo. And it's like, yes, because that's my brand. That's what I do. You're not going to see me ever taking photos with my cell phone just because it's a less expensive listing. That's not what I do. I don't care if it's a mobile home for 80 grand or a $3 million house. You're going to get the same branding, the same professional photography. It's just what I do. And so
Ladies and gentlemen, you found yourself a very good agent, and her
thank
name is
Use
Ashley
Ashley.
Rio.
She is
you.
a genius.
Cool. I
So
love that.
Ashley, do you have anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't touch on about how we could be better, or I don't know, anything you can think of that might be of value to real estate photographers for them to know about something about you guys and your line of work?
Hmm. Oh, should we roast Neal some more?
Yes.
Yes, we should. Yes, we absolutely
Sounds
should.
like that's almost impossible to do. Neil's just great.
No, 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 no. I'm just kidding. Um, no, I mean, I feel there's no reason for me. It's funny because like I haven't even really looked into other photographers to be completely transparent with you because I wouldn't think of switching because like even Courtney and I were like, call Neal, call Neal. Um, it would feel really awkward and like a very cheating way if I ever did. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, that was my only real like, and again, it wasn't like anything to do with you and your photography or your skill set or anything. It was more on the education piece for agents of like how to use some of that new technology. Like
Yeah.
that again is my biggest piece that I frustrate with and am frustrated with. And that's not on you. That's on me and trying to figure out how the heck to do it.
Well, to be honest though, right? you know, maybe you see the photos and you see the video work and the quality is there, and you don't see other work where that makes you go, geez, they're doing a better job than Neal. Maybe I should look into them. But where we all could also fall behind as photographers is by not offering all the things that our agents need. And eventually somebody come along and they're going to include reels and a reels course for their agents if you try them out. And now
Yeah.
you've got a competitive edge. So I
Right.
also have to continue to evolve, just like the agents have to continue to evolve. So we got to stay on top of it. So, and for all the photographers out there, myself included, I know it's another thing that maybe it's not maybe it wasn't originally the thing that we're excited about was doing social posts, but we also have to do it now. It's a thing we have got to put on our calendar, and we got to do it, and we got to be good at it and help our agents, because we
Right.
all start to rise up together if we can tackle that market too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I mean, that would be the only thing. And I really like, it's just one of those things that's like, unless you don't like sign up for a course, I don't think their course exists. I don't know, but it's like always in
It
the
will.
back. There is one.
I'm creating it.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be one for like, I'd be like, can I sign up? But it's one of those things that was like, you always know you need to do, but unless it's right in front of you, you just don't do it because life goes on and things get in the way and you go about, your everyday life and work. And then that for me anyways, like falls behind the wayside and should be a priority, but
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
life.
So yeah, there's an opening there. Whatever us as, media creators can do to simplify the processes and to help them be able to help themselves, there's a market for that there. There's pain there. And where there's pain, there's something that you can, add as a resource and a way to make more money at our business. So I think that's my homework, and probably some other photographers out there homework is to really get into, a couple of agents have asked about it, and I've been thinking about it, and it's time to dive in. And in the winter, when we got a little slower times, a good time to get that new gimbal for my phone and maybe start doing some more reels with my phone and stuff like that. And yeah, so there's my homework. I appreciate that new homework because it's also a new opportunity.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway is that I need more how-to videos on my website on how to use their media, how to use their
Yeah.
property websites and marketing kits and all that. So more of
Ooh,
a
Ashley,
beefy back section.
let me ask you, that makes me think too. What do you think? So let's say on-site reels and maybe Rachel, you can tell, maybe you can ballpark cost. Um, what is, Rachel, you answer first what cost is, and Ashley, what would you value getting? I don't what a couple of reels from a listing appointment. Maybe we can get that for the last little bit on the podcast, and we'll wrap it up.
Like part of a packet you're saying, like if like
Yeah, so you know how I add on a video, right? If we added reels, and Rachel, when you do your reels, do you just pull it from the original video, so you're not doing a separate video, or are you doing a separate video?
So we have it's an add-on. You can either order a reel by itself. It's a vertical style video. It's under 1 minute and it's fast paced and it's quick and it's engaging. It's like a teaser video, right? So the
Is that done with
interior
your phone?
video, huh? What?
Is it done with your phone or with your regular camera?
It depends. A lot of times it's done. So if we do a video with our video camera on the gimbal, we'll take extra clips, different clips, so it looks different than your interior video, and we'll incorporate it down into like a condensed version, like a little teaser video. If they only order a reel, if I do it, I have the little phone gimbal. I prefer to use my phone to make these, so I'll just use my phone. Those gimbals are heavy. They kill me. My shoulders hurt. My neck hurts. I'm like, ugh. And the reel is like, it doesn't matter. They're the same quality, honestly.
When you do that reel, are you still for your offering? Are you going through the whole home for the reel, or are you highlighting a couple rooms? How do you do it?
It's just a highlight. So I start outside. I do like a detail shot or a reveal, come behind a tree, reveal the front porch or front door. And then I'll do a couple, like one wide shot of the living room and then maybe a tight shot on the fireplace. I just show the details. It's like mostly just like one wide shot of the main living, kitchen, master, and then I just do little details. Maybe a detail of in the master of or primary, excuse me, of the water faucet running or something, or the bathtub running, or if there's like a clawfoot bathtub that's really cool, get a little detail shot of that. So Yeah.
And then,
Hmm.
yeah, so basically whatever the cool features are in the home, you're highlighting those to be the coolest to get people's attention. And
Right,
what
it's a
are
teaser.
those 15 seconds, 30 seconds? What are
They're
they?
under 1 minute, and I usually do between like 20 and 30 clips. So.
Okay.
Okay.
And you offered, and you just get one video, or are you saying there's like multiple videos they get?
So I'm offering social media packages for next year. I'm working on that right now, and it's going to be 3 different reels. So they're different styles. So one is that teaser video. One's going to be like you've seen the walkthroughs where you walk through the entire house and it
Yeah.
like speeds up and then it slows down and then it speeds up to the next room, then it slows down, and they just flow through the whole house. Like so you
It's one
literally
continuous, mostly one
correct.
continuous shot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're usually under a minute. So that'll be another style. And then the third style will be kind of like a walkthrough video with the agent in the clips. So like the agent will be washing their hands in the sink or like laying in the bathtub or, looking out the balcony at the view or
Right.
like when they maybe
But they're
they'll
not,
open the
but they're
front
not
door.
speaking. No,
No, no,
no
they're just
audio though,
kind of
right?
actors in the video. Yeah. So it's just a way to kind of incorporate them in. So those are my like 3 ideas now for reels, and I'm sure they'll evolve, but I also have to roll this out to my team and train them so they look the same as the way I do it, which is a challenge. So it'll probably be pretty cookie cutter, just those 3 styles for the first 6 months or so until we incorporate new styles. Get
Are
everyone
you okay
trained
with
up.
sharing what you charge for an add-on and what you charge
Yeah.
if they're not doing any other video? I don't know if it's a different price or not.
Yeah. So I'll tell you just I charge by square footage. So for photos, a house that's under 1,200 square feet is 250. A video for under 1,200 square feet is 300. And then the real add-on is 100.
Hmm.
And then, so I don't know, our market might be a little bit more expensive in the Seattle area. I don't know what you guys pay.
It's yeah, I up to 1,500 square feet is 229 for me for the
Okay.
photos,
Yeah.
and the
Super
same
comparable.
rate for the video.
Okay.
I just do the same rate just to keep it simple. That it's not a whole nother thing. It's just same rate. And then I don't have the add-on for reel, but so to just do the one reel add-on is 100, right?
Yes. And
And
then
now, what if they showed up to only do the reel and they didn't do the other videos? Is there a different rate for that?
yeah, so it's 200 if we just do the reel.
Yep.
And then if
That
you
was-
want to incorporate
Yeah.
drone into it, there's an additional charge for that as well.
Right. And drone is extra, right?
Yeah.
And just for your regular video, that doesn't include your drone video, right? You add extra for drone
The
video.
drone video is 75 extra to add in to the interior video.
So now the moment we've all been waiting for. What's your reaction to that, Ashley? If you had a real add-on for, if you're already doing the video and we're going to add a real video as well for an extra 100, would that make sense for you?
And that was just the one, because I know you talked about, excuse me, 3 different reels. That was just for the one reel.
Correct.
Mhm.
I guess I'd have to see it
Yep.
first.
Yeah.
Because like, and it would depend on the house, right? Like again, like a lot of factors. It doesn't like scare me. It's not like I wouldn't do it. I would just want to see what it looks like, and it would be
Yeah.
specific to like, for me, like for 500,000 and up. I guess I would do that.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
Something
get,
kinda-
that's show worthy, right? That
yeah,
you would-
show, I think
has
too.
some
Yeah.
cool features.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like a drone. You don't, I don't, some people say, I get that. Some people, I get the method of some, you do the good photography for all the houses, but I don't feel it's the same for drone. I don't think you're helping every house by shooting drone, right? So if we've got a hoarding house, we're not highlighting it with an Insta reel. You know what I mean? So it has to make sense. It has to be worthy that you're gonna put that extra thing on there. But
Yeah.
that might be another feature too, another benefit for you guys sitting at the table trying to win the listing, that you're also going to say, we're also going to do reels on Instagram, right? Because I bet you that helps you separate yourself, because I bet a lot of the agents aren't going to be throwing that on the table.
Well, I was just gonna say too, like it depends on your clients. Like some clients that you have are like lively, fun, and they want to know everywhere that their house is gonna be, and they enjoy seeing their house everywhere, and you're trying to compete for this listing. And I know like I can like dangle another carrot in front and be like, all right, well, we're gonna also do a reel for your house. And it's just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like that is a huge add-on that I can guarantee you most agents aren't even thinking of.
Mm.
I like that idea. Yeah.
Okay,
I would-
cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. All
Cool,
right.
cool,
Well,
cool.
thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on here and being
It's
so
fun.
honest and open with us. It's great.
Great.
Thank you, Ashley. Always a pleasure, my dear. And I will see you soon on another listing.
Right. I will see you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Toodaloo.